Broadsword and Ekbalco. And John Frankham and Andy Turnell ensuring that there's no hanging about here. Safely over the first. Pollardstown with, as I said, the champion jockey deputising for injured Philip Blacker. Pollardstown from Bird's Nest, Daring Run, Broadsword and Ekbalco. Last on the far side, Pollardstown, Bird's Nest, Daring Run, Broad's Nest and Ekbalco. Well strung out. Bird's Nest running for the second time at the meeting, in which Daring Run trying to break the disastrous RS sequence at this 1982 Aintree Festival. Pollardstown enjoying himself out front from Bird's Nest as they swing towards the home stretch on the first circuit in this 2 miles, 5.5 furlong Sun Templegate hurdle. Daring Run in third, as you see. Broadsword and David Goulding, back marker on Ekbalco. David sure to be trying to conserve this horse to get the trip. Pollardstown, on the right, of course, as we see them. Bird's Nest, Daring Run, Broadsword and Ekbalco. This, the flight that'll be the last on the next circuit. You'll just see them run past the chair soon after it, the chair fence, which is number 15 in the National. Pollardstown just fiddled that a little bit, and a little slap from John to remind him to pick his feet up just past the chair there. See it in the background. In fact, just passing the water now. And now passing the winning post on the first circuit. Pollardstown in the lead from Bird's Nest, little gap to Daring Run, Broadsword and Ekbalco, and needless to say, all going very well within themselves at this stage. Pollardstown, trained by Stan Mellor, who's three-handed in the National in the next race with Royal Mayor, Royal Stewart and Cole Spell. With Bird's Nest still in very close attendance. One of the enigmatic horses of the hurdling game with a great prize-winning record, but by no means easy to predict his performance. Jumped right up sides almost, Pollardstown then. Broadsword making a forward move. Peter Scudamore going up to join Ted Walsh. David Goulding still sitting quietly in rear on Ekbalco. And the order still Pollardstown, Bird's Nest, Daring Run, Broadsword and Ekbalco. Probably saw Peter Scudamore having a peep over his left shoulder there to see where David Goulding had got to and how well he was going to assess where he ought to make his move. Right over the far side of the course now. Pollardstown still from Bird's Nest with the remaining trio very close on their heels now. Daring Run, Ekbalco going up on the outside. Broadsword very close to them. David Goulding making an earlier than usual move here on Ekbalco as they swing into the straight. Pollardstown getting a reminder there from John Frankham. Bird's Nest hanging on in second, Ekbalco third. Broadsword very close now, and cruising there is Daring Run, just in behind Pollardstown as they come down to the third last. Pollardstown landed in the lead there from Daring Run and Ekbalco. Broadsword trying to make a run towards the stand side. Bird's Nest has dropped out of it. This is the second last flight now. Pollardstown lands in the lead from Ekbalco and Daring Run. Daring Run going very strongly in between Pollardstown and Ekbalco, and here comes Broadsword under strong driving from Peter Scudamore on the stand side. And Daring Run, Broadsword will fall over the last, and Daring Run is left with the advantage. Daring Run now from Pollardstown and Ekbalco. I've seen Broadsword get to his feet all right, and so's Peter Scudamore. And as they race up to the line, Daring Run looks as though he's going to win the first for the Irish, but Pollardstown is fighting back as they come to the line. A desperate battle as they come to the line. Daring Run just wins it from Pollardstown. Ekbalco, and finally Bird's Nest. Peter Scudamore all right, Broadsword all right, and the result of the Sun Templegate hurdle, always a dramatic curtain raiser to the National. First, number 1, Daring Run, owned by Mrs. Helen D. Doyle, trained by Peter McCreary in Ireland and ridden by Mr. Ted Walsh. Second was number 7, Pollardstown, owned by Mrs. Bill Tullock, trained by Stan Miller, ridden by John Frankham. And third was number 3, Ekbalco, owned by Mr. Tawfik Fakouri, trained by Roger Fisher, ridden by David Goulding. Fourth was number 2, Bird's Nest. So Daring Run wins the Sun Templegate for the second year in succession. Ted Walsh likewise. Here's how he won it as we review it with Julian Wilson.
Daring Run was cruising coming to the second last. He always got the beating of Pollardstown, but then Peter Scudamore got a great run out of Broadsword coming to the last. But just where he wanted a good jump, he just hasn't picked up at all. He's galloped straight through the hurdle, completely collapsed. Luckily has thrown Peter Scudamore clear. As you can see, he rolls away from the horse and happily isn't severely damaged. That's left Daring Run a length and a half out in front of Pollardstown. But Pollardstown has rallied to such good cause that whereas Daring Run looked to say he might win with his head in his chest, in the end Ted Walsh has really had to ride him out. There's 150 yards to go. He swung his whip at him, just slapped him down the shoulder. But John Frankham giving his mount just a couple of backhanders there. He's gone on battling all the way to the line, Pollardstown, and although he hasn't got his head in front this season, he hasn't lost any of his enthusiasm. But Daring Run wasn't going to be beaten now, but what would have happened if Broadsword had stood up? In view of the fact that Daring Run has won so narrowly in the end, I'm thinking that it might have been a great race.